Throughout Treasure Island's history, there have been a lot of weird, bad, and great fan games. However, that doesn't mean some of them never make it to a full game state for a variety of reasons, whether it be a result of drama, lack of motivation, or for no reason at all. Hey guys, Buster here, and welcome to the first part of the cancelled Treasure Island fan game series on this channel. I know we already have a bunch of series on the channel, but there's always room for another. I don't have much of an intro this time, so enjoy! So, for those unaware, Room Zero is a Disney creepypasta that serves as an official sequel to Abandoned by Disney, which was also written by Slimebeast. If you guys would like me to make a whole entire video on a creepypasta, I'll look into it, but I'll quickly sum it up here. Basically, the entire idea of this creepypasta is that Room Zero was a bomb shelter made by Disney that was made because of mass hysteria concerning the Cold War. So it was only a matter of time before someone made a Treasure Island game based on the whole concept, which Marco Games would on January 30th, 2016, releasing a game drill page. I would like to talk more about Marco Games himself, but there's nearly nothing. His website is down, his DeviantArt is dead, and the only other game on his account is also an empty page. The page itself for Room Zero contains some pretty good looking renders and an unfinished night schedule. There is also a trailer which is now lost to time, but from what I read from some comments, it was just Steamboat Willie just heavily corrupted and it didn't show much gameplay wise. Also, while I'm not fully sure about this, I believe the original developer's first language was not English, mainly because of the original description which says, "Now I'm working on the trailer. Only after the release of the trailer I will write a description for the game. What to do now? Just wait and don't die from fun." Which, okay. While we don't know much about the game itself, we know it's supposed to be a fully 3D free roam game, which is something we still don't have to this day. I guess the closest thing is the tunnels in the Buddhist Casa 2.0, but that's about it. I also want to talk about how funny the game's age rating is. It says it's for all ages, but then proceeds to have all of this fun stuff next to it. Like, I didn't even think games would allow something like this, but I shouldn't be surprised. But yeah, on April 11th, 2016, Monkey Games made a post about how a gameplay teaser was coming, and that the game would have an estimated release date of 2017. But as we now know, nearly 9 years later, there is still nothing and will most likely never be anything. Which is further evidence from Marco Games having last been seen active on VK, a Russian social media platform, 2 years after his last post on GameJolt, implying that he had simply abandoned the project. Granted, there have been attempts to revive concepts such as this remake Squeak's Third Corgi was making. In fact, there's a full Night 5 version available on an unlisted page, but there's no real story or substance. It's just survive 5 nights and you win. Also, for the record, I couldn't find out what to do, so that doesn't help any matters. And Squeaks has moved on to better things like Shipwreck 64, so just leave him alone about it. Apart from that, nothing really remains for anything related to this game, and it's safe to say this game is just never going to happen. So with all that out of the way, let's move on to our next game. Our next game on this list is called Chaos at Treasure Island. This was supposed to be a non-canon third Treasure Island game made by the Radiance team. If you couldn't tell from the one single screenshot of this game I am showing on the screen right now, this was supposed to be an ultimate custom night for Fnatic, and would have a lot of mechanics and characters combined from all sorts of fan games. The Lost Ones, original revamp, The End of Disney, A Week at Castaway K. Name a game, it probably had some inspiration in this, since Radiance does reference fan materials a lot. In fact, this is actually a game that Nocturnum and Marat were mainly developing, and it's the exact reason why Marat's collection game page on GameJolt has binary characters as the name, alongside this text saying, "Everywhere I go, I see you." I'm not going to go into all the mechanics because that would be ridiculous with how many characters there are, but I'll leave a link to the wiki page if you want to read into it yourself. But there is some stuff like the office having a 360-degree view and being able to change between floors. I will also mention the fact that one of them was apparently going to be a mini-game of I'm Scared MBD, and apparently like a Fnatic world battle where you fought against Lockjaw from the Return to Freddy's. Like, what? I think it's really cool and funny, honestly. The reason for this game being cancelled is that, well, it was too big and ambitious for its own good. It was simply very tedious and not fun to work on at all, so it was cancelled for those exact reasons. Granted, there's still plenty of people trying to revive this idea. For example, Treasure Island Turtle Cycle. It's currently paused, but I'll still leave a link to it below for anyone who wants to check it out. So there's just this one page in the Treasure Island wiki that just contains a bunch of cancelled fan games, and since none of them have enough info on their own, I'll just quickly talk about all of them here. The first one is a Buddhist Casa 2015, which, as you can tell from the title, was just the original version of a Buddhist Casa, And as for all the games here, not much is known apart from this render of an attic model, which was actually made randomly for Purity Sin's birthday before it was intended to be repurposed for the aforementioned game. And also a small announcement post on Reddit and on Fandom. It's basically all completely lost, but what we do know is that it leads into the next one called Project DI. This is supposed to be an Unreal Engine remake of Treasure Island by the Purity Sinners, and was named after the planned trilogy of Purity Sinners Treasure Island games. And that is pretty much it. All we have is this render of the Project DI door and this photo of the game page. Interestingly, the Project DI door is used in Remastered 3.0 and has a 1 in 300 chance to appear if the mouse button is clipped before Willie's menu jump scared. The next one is Scrapped, and yes, I'm referring to that Scrapped. I briefly mentioned this in a 4.0 video, but it was basically just going to be a Final Nights at Treasure Island 3 and a sequel to 4.0. There was also apparently some petty drama between Nocturnum and Blackout, but I can't find anything confirming that, so take it with a grain of salt. The next one is Red Oddities 2018, which was just supposed to be a remake of the original Red Oddities, and literally nothing was made for this game apart from updated model of Red, as well as a test render by Jack Wald. Ahaha, it's almost like it's the guy that helped write this video. And lastly, we have something called Night Terrors, which actually has stuff to talk about. The whole idea of this game is that Jake was in an insane asylum and a doctor shows Rorschach pictures to him. If you don't know what those are, they are like a psychological test that shows a few ink stains that could look like a few things all at once. If you play the start of Fallout New Vegas, you know what I'm talking about. With every single one Jake sees, a new character would appear in the game until the final one called Lucid Micmic. After that, Jake would have snuck back on the island of Buddha's Casa took place on, and would take his own life from there. Okay. This was also supposed to be a Fanati 2, however, it was merged from Buddha's Casa and became a post-mortem minigame within that. That is all there is for the games listed on the page. Most of these are just ideas that have better interpretations now, but they're so interesting to look back at. On that one 4.0 video I made a few weeks ago, a lot of people commented on, while it is a shame that the 4.0 version was cancelled, it was also for the better since we got the official games by ratings, which were miles better than the original concepts. And I do fully agree with that. I just think it's interesting to look back at what could have been an alternative universe. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you want to see more of these, you know what to do. The average YouTube stuff like liking, commenting, and subscribing. And I'll see you guys next time.